Midwest's biggest boat show is back. The Discover Boating Minneapolis Boat Show, in partnership with Progressive Insurance, is headed to the Minneapolis Convention Center January 23rd through the 26th. Head over to our contest page for your shot at a family 4-pack of tickets. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter.
It's a couple 13-14 past. I'm Common, he's Tennessee. It's time now for 5-3-4.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the welfare of the Wolves.
Anthony Edwards scored a career-high 53 points, but the Wolves still lost 119-105 at Detroit on Saturday. Wolves have lost 3 in a row. They're now back to 500 at 17-17. Common, what is the fix for this Wolves team?
Reacquiring the Bodega Cat. I'm beginning to think that that's been more detrimental to the team. That's been a bigger reason for their struggles. I mean, when you think of this, Tennessee, we talked about this on a number of occasions since the season started. He was the face of the franchise for 8 or 9 years, and then comes on the scene. Basically, he starts to become the face of the franchise. But they were like Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy, Stiller and Mira, Tenna and Common, Sacco and Manzetti. They were inseparable, and I think the two of them, they became fast friends. Then you added Gobert to the mix, and Nas and Na and McDaniels and Conley and all the rest. And they had a great run last year, man. Get to the Western Conference Finals. And then 3 days before you're about to go to camp, you trade the guy that's been with the team longer than anybody, buds with and I understand why they did it. They did it for financial reasons. But I think my guess is it stunned every guy on the team. And the Randall guy, he didn't want to be traded from New York. He was stunned that he was traded. DiVincenzo, I think, felt the same way. So now all of a sudden, 3 days before camp, oh, by the way, we're taking one of our most important players, a guy that you could call the glue of the team, the heart and the soul of the team, whether you like Big Meow or not, whether you liked him, didn't like him, thought he whined too much, had his issues defensively more often than we'd like to remember. I still think they were, that cohesive unit, and I don't know if they're going to get it back.
They played for each other.
They did. They seemed to, and I don't know if they're going to get that back. I really don't. And Ant, I don't know what to make of this guy. I mean, he's immensely talented. We know that. But one day he shoots 15. He scores, I think it was 15 points, and says, I don't know what to do. I have any answers. They're double teaming me. The very next night, were they double teaming him then or what? Because then he goes off for a career high 53. They still lost both games. But I don't know what the cure is. Do you have a solution? I don't. I really don't. Other than getting Bodega Cat back.
I have 0 solutions.
Yeah.
Other than, I don't know.
And you're a hockey guy, so.
Maybe the chemistry just finally figures it out. But we've now reached that point, right, where I was one of those that said, hey, let's give this group some time. They just made the trade 3 days before the season. Now that you're getting into game 34 and you're about at the halfway mark, well, now we're trying to gel, trying to figure out the chemistry. That's going to fall a little bit more on deaf ears as we move along here.
I tend to agree.
Question number 2.
Time now for an in-depth look at the state of hockey.
excuses for your Minnesota Wild. MVP candidate out of the lineup. Doesn't matter. The Wild shut out the Carolina Hurricanes 4-0 Saturday at Lenovo Center. Their third consecutive win. Their fifth in their past 6 games. The top line was on the ice for all 4 goals. Marco Rossi had 4 assists. Matt Zuccarello tallied 2 goals and a helper. Matt Boldy notched a goal and 2 assists. And your guy, the Gus Bus, stopped 21 shots for his 3rd shutout of the season. Common, what sticks out to you from the Wild's road win over the Hurricanes?
Everything you just mentioned. I think to me, it's when Kaprizov has been out as long as he have, and then who got Spurgeon?
Spurgeon's out.
Because he got slew-footed.
Yep.
Middleton hasn't been playing, and he seems to be kind of...
He started skating today, so that's good.
Okay. And...
so top 4 defenseman.
Yeah. So I think that got a little grit. They've been playing quality teams too, right? It's not like they've been playing the dregs of the league or not.
Washington, I think, had the best record in the East when they played them. They beat them in a shootout. And Carolina's a playoff team, quality team, hard place to play at.
Yeah.
And they shut them out.
I like the way they're playing. I think I got to sneeze. Hold on.
There's a cough button over there. There's not a sneeze button. Maybe we should add one of those.
And that's why I turned it off. See, instead of just hitting the cough button, I just turned the microphone off entirely. Yeah, it's refreshing. It's one winner team is still plugging along. And they hit their they had that little issue about 2 weeks ago, right, where we lost. We were like 3-3 or something, and we lost. Things weren't going very well. But, yeah, they're hanging it.
Well, at the beginning of the year, before the year started, and you looked at the lineup, and they basically made no changes, right? They acquired a couple bottom 6 forwards, and that was it. And for this team to improve, it was going to have to improve internally, including from some young guys. Marco Rossi took a step up last year, and he's now taken another step up, and even more so with Kaprizov out of the lineup. 8 points in the last 3 games. He had 4 assists, like I said, against Carolina. He's just playing at a whole nother level. So it does give you a little bit more excitement that when Kaprizov does come back, they do have Eriksson Ek back, that you can at least maybe get a solid couple offensive lines. And Rossi's playing at an elite level right now. He's playing great.
Because I'm not paying as close attention to the league as I once did, is there a team or two in the National Hockey League that you go, yeah, it's all great, the Wild are doing what they're doing, but this team or two is a level ahead of everybody else in the league? Is there a dominant team?
I would just say, given the Wild's playoff history,
right?
I think no matter how good the regular season is, you get in the first round, and you're most likely, unless they get the top spot and you can play one of the wild cards and get someone from the other division, but you're most likely playing one of your division rivals, right? You're playing a Dallas, who they've had issues against, a Colorado, a Winnipeg, right? I mean, those are the teams you're going to have to look at. None of this is going to matter if they can't get out of the first round of the playoffs. Are
there any teams, though, that they're the heavy favorite to get to the Stanley Cup Finals? Is there a team out there like that?
I don't know if there really is that team. I think some of the teams that were up there, like the Wild, even Winnipeg, even Washington, were surprises. Vegas, after a somewhat of a slow start, has been coming on for quite a while now, and the Wild played them a couple weeks ago, and they didn't fare well. I'd say maybe Vegas in the West.
Okay. I'll keep an eye on them.
It's hockey. Anyone can play with anyone. Can we do a quickie?
Yes, absolutely.
Question number 3. It's time now for the lowdown in Dinkytown.
The Gophers football team beat Virginia Tech 24-10 Friday night in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. The Gophers finished the season with an 8-5 record and stretched their nation's best bowl winning streak to 8 games. Common, how would you evaluate the Gopher football season?
Like most of the Gopher football season we've seen under Fleck, you got some highs and lows. You have moments where you think this team's pretty good. Maybe they're kind of turning a corner a little bit. I mean, not to get to the level of the Ohio States and the Oregons and the Texases and who's still in it? The Penn States is and all the other helmet schools. And then they'll give you some head scratchers where you go, how did that happen, right? And they're not the only team. I mean, think about this. Who are the teams in the Final Four? Texas against Ohio State.
Ohio State. Is Notre Dame there?
Yeah, that's it. Notre Dame lost one game this year. I think it was their second game of the season. You and I discussed this a few weeks back when we were talking about the 12
Texas,
season.
Ohio State, and then Penn State versus Notre Dame. 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds.
Notre Dame has lost one game all year. I watched that game. I think it was against Northern Illinois. And I thought, I think that was their second game of the season. And I said, well, there goes Notre Dame's chance to get invited to the 12-team tournament. And lo and behold, here they are. So if you're part of, I think it was Northern Illinois. If you're part of that Northern Illinois team and Notre Dame wins it all, you go, we beat the national champs. Obviously, not as much at stake when you beat them, but so yeah. I mean, when Fleck does the old, it's nice to end the season as champions. I kind of roll my eyes, shrug my shoulders, and shake my head. They're meaningless bowl games, man. They just are. They don't mean anything. The Rose Bowl did because you're advancing. Orange, whatever ones that are whatever 12-team tournament bowls that are labeled a bowl that advance you, that something's at stake. Those are big, but the other ones are just exhibition games. That's okay. You don't have to apologize for winning, but
They're not championships.
No, they're not championships, and they are who they are. You would think with 12 teams and some of the, you would hope that with once in the next 10 years they'd get invited to that 12-team event, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So there you go.
Hoping to have KOC on the other side of this break.
Oh, perfect. We'll pause. We'll come back. The head coach is day after the game news conference next.
EV.
Metallica. Vomiting rats. And a liner, a vibe from Tennessee.
No vibe.
Oh, okay. Awaiting the beginning of the day after the game news conference, and the head coach of the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, should start shortly. My guess is we'll straddle the 45. Attention to all stations down the line on the Common Man Radio Network. We'll probably be straddling the 45, so be prepared for that. It was announced, I think, was it Saturday, that the Wilfs spent $2 million buying 1,900 tickets for the Lions-Vikings game and then sold them to Viking season ticket holders at a reduced price. That's $2 million the Wilfs spent, Tennessee, which is $2 million more than the Twins have spent in free agency this offseason. The Twins sold that club yet? Is anybody still waiting to hear about the Arizona guys?
They're still intending to.
And we think they're still intending to. I saw this tweet, Eric Escala, the Scarf, a legendary former newsman at WCCO Radio, also now he continues to host Almanac. I think they just celebrated their 40-year anniversary. And he sent me this. He stumbled across this. It says, the Vikings rebuild began in the 2022 offseason. 5 starters remain from 2021. Garrett Bradbury, Christian Darrisaw, Justin Jefferson, Brian O'Neill, and Harrison Smith. The Twitter person who put this together says the team was, in fact, totally rebuilt. Well, other than the 5 guys you named, might be the 5 best players on the, other than Bradbury. As I said, they weren't totally rebuilt. Darrisaw, Jefferson, O'Neill, and Harrison Smith are 4 of the most important players on the team. Now, they did, I'm not, of course, the competitive rebuild, they have added some new players. But to try to pretend that it's been totally rebuilt, no, those are critical cornerstones of the team. So,
and when is that from?
This was from 2nd of January.
No, I'm saying how far back does it go that they?
Oh, the Vikings rebuild began in 2022 season. 5 starters remain from 2021.
Oh, I'll say starters. Got it.
Starters remain from 2020.
Because I was going to say, there's some other names that have been, like Josh Metellus.
That's correct.
Preceded them, and like Cam Bynum. And
so this is one of those Ducky and Bunny where, and you see him everywhere. I mean, let's face it. It happens in every city. When a team is putting together a season like the Vikings did, or like the Kitties. I mean, you read the Detroit stuff. The media is doing the same thing there. This flowery prose, this idolizing and pedestalizing. There's nothing like it. The culture and the way they've come together and the teamwork. Yeah, I guess there's something to that. Sure didn't help much yesterday in Detroit, did it? So that's why I think that stuff gets a little overblown. I really do. You know, and again, look, when Kwesi mentioned competitive rebuild, I think you and I both kind of rolled our eyes, shrugged our shoulders, and shook our head and said, you can't do that. There's no way you can continue to try to be a team that, and when I say competitive, I don't mean going 9-7, or no, 9-8. I'm talking competitive is like making the playoffs. I thought, well, I don't think you can do that. I think it's too difficult to do it. Well, they've pretty much done it. They went 13-4, took a step back at 7-10, and this year they're 14-3. So,
well, and I've said this before, but I'll repeat it again. It's pretty amazing they've done that competitive rebuild, if you want to call it that, without hitting on a lot of draft picks.
Yes.
Right? I mean, how many draft picks during Kwesi's time have been hits that have helped you? Jordan Addison's been a quality player.
Jordan Addison's been a quality player.
Riker.
Jordan Addison has been yeah.
Right? I mean, so they're rebuilding without, I mean, that's when you think of rebuild, you think of you're going to use those draft picks,
right.
You get them on their rookie deals, and you're going to build something, and they've done it without doing that. It's really, and I think a lot of that is coaching. I think the coaching's really good.
Here's another one of those I got from the Scarf. Another Twitter guy who kind of, has stats and numbers and thinks he's on top of the game. It says, David Montgomery is 14-2. The Bears are 4-12. Saquon Barkley is 13-3. The Giants are 3-13. Derrick Henry is 11-5. The Titans are 3-13. Josh Jacobs is 11-5. The Raiders are 4-12. If you let talent walk, you pay the price. And it's like, you can't possibly believe that if Montgomery is still with the Bears, that they're going to be a 14-2 kind of. He's a really talented player, and he's done a lot for Detroit. But he's not franchised, nor is Saquon Barkley. He's a great runner. He could get Offensive Player of the Year. I don't think if he's still with the Giants are 13-3.
All those players came from bad teams that had bad records when they were on those teams.
That's exactly right.
They've just happened to go find a better place to play at.
That's all that is. So it's like people, I think, a lot of these aggregates or these people that, that follow the league.
They want the clicks.
They want the clicks. And so the logic they sometimes put together just leaves me scratching my head. Here's another one I got here. To me, Common, you sound like an idiot again. They don't get 2 weeks rest. It's only 1 week for the Rams. No, the Rams rested their starters. It's 2 weeks off for the starters on that team because they played week 17. Then they had a week off and didn't play week 18. So that's a week off. Then they will have this entire week off before they play the first round game against the Vikings. That's 2 weeks the starters did not play football. 2 weeks that they did not have contact football. It's 2 weeks. You can say it any way you want. Had the Rams starters played yesterday, then it would be 1 week. But it will be 2 weeks it'll be 2 weeks in a day. When the Rams take the field on Monday night, their starters will not have played a football game in 2 weeks. Maybe I can explain it another way, Tenneby. Let's say you go to the gas station and you fill up your car with gas. Costs you $80. You get it down to half, and you put $20 into your tank. You're spending less on gas.
Brilliant.
Thanks.
Huh?
Kenny, you're not listening. No, that's what Shaq would say. Kenny, you're not listening. So anyways, it's 2 weeks.
Huh?
When was the last time the starters will have played?
Week 17.
So then after week 17 was over, they had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's yesterday. That's 7 days without playing a football game. Then they're going to have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 14. That's another week. That's 14 days. And then Monday, if you want to count that, because they're playing on Monday, that's 15 days. Just is. Now, I know.
I think the semantics behind it is nobody is saying, hey, the Vikings have a week off right now.
Right. No. I know what you're saying in the semantics on that one. But you can't argue with this one because I know what you're saying. You're right. It is semantics.
Oh, we're just saying, the Vikings have a week off. We have a week between games.
But what I'm saying is the Rams starters, the Vikings don't have a week, but they don't have the two because their starters played in the final regular season game. The Rams players didn't. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kuppy, Matt Stafford, when they take the field, they will not have played a game for 14 days. That's 2 weeks off. It just is. You can't argue it. If they had played Sunday, it would be 1 week off. It's not that hard to figure out. Anyway, Wild Today, what you got for us?
Yeah, this is Wild Today brought to you by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild. The Wild have 54 points, just 2 points back of Winnipeg for the top spot in the Central Division. They've won 3 in a row, 5 of 6 after blanking the Carolina Hurricanes 4-0 on Saturday. Marco Rossi today named the #1 star of the week in the National Hockey League. He had 4 assists against the Hurricanes. His last 3 games, 3 goals and 5 assists. Some good news from an injury standpoint as well today. Jake Middleton, defenseman, back on the ice today. It sounds like his return is imminent. Kirill Kaprizov still hasn't skated. The head coach, John Hines, says he is listed as day-to-day. Wild return home tomorrow night when they host the St. Louis Blues. That was Wild Today, brought to you by Jim Beam, a crowd pleaser since 1795.
We join the Kevin O'Connell news conference in progress.
I think from a standpoint of, at different times when maybe we didn't make a play that could have changed the game. Sometimes, I got to make sure I don't let that previous play affect the way that I'm calling the game, and attempt to try to, find it on the next play or 2 or 3 plays later, whatever it is. Thought they had a good plan, a lot of pressure. Some of which we handled well, some of which we didn't. A lot of it was an execution thing. A lot of it was you've got to make them pay when they're balancing coverage program to Justin with a lot of pressure. You've got to find a way to make one of those 6, 7, 8 opportunities happen to kind of maybe discourage some of that. And there's some other things that I can do better to maybe offset some of those things. And just across the board, I think a little bit better execution from all 11 guys, regardless of the play call. And then there's no question there's certain circumstances in that game where I've got to do a much better job.
There was a report yesterday morning that there would be some teams in the coaching cycle that would potentially be interested in trading for you. I know that's an ownership decision, obviously.
Yeah.
From your perspective, is that anything that intrigues you at all?
Yeah, I'm not really interested in kind of, I guess I should say, addressing the rumors or speculation. What I can tell you is I love this team. I love everything about this organization, and this is where I want to be. This is where I want to keep coaching and leading. So any conversations, in my opinion, at this point that really aren't about the Rams and the task at hand. My personal responsibility to lead immediate improvement off of yesterday, but also capitalizing on the opportunity to be in the tournament. My sole focus at this point.
With the pressure yesterday, was there anything about it specifically you think caused more problems than had earlier in the season? Was it just they brought more of it more often, or stuck out to you?
Yeah, there's a few there that they're bringing more than you got to block. In some cases from depth where, we did beat it with the ball a couple times, other times we didn't. And then just some of the early down issues that caused. And, maybe there's examples where we had some chances versus some 4-man rush and didn't handle, whatever they were doing up front in a really positive way. And at that point, we took some significant losses that in a drive starting play where there was some potential to maybe at least get the ball thrown away, if not find, one of the open eligibles down the field. But at the same time, I think we've got to do some things to help Sam, equip him with, more ability to get the ball out of his hands. And that can come in a variety of different ways, and ways that we've, activated throughout the season. It's just in a game like that, those negatives or missed opportunities get magnified, and especially when on the other side it's a explosive offense and they're playing at home, and our defense is fighting a hell of a fight, and did a lot of really good things. And that's where the complementary nature of one particular aspect of your team, or whether it's special teams giving up field position, on a, before a 2-minute drive or things like that, we've got to, we win as a complementary team. And, yesterday, I think we lost the football game because we didn't do enough to complement each other. And that's one thing I know about our guys. I have zero worry that they don't all reflect upon that the right way. All, focusing on what they can do to improve. And as a coaching staff, we're going to do the same exact thing. And that's why I have a lot of confidence that we're going to have a heck of a week of prep and go compete.
Was the intent of the kickoff to try to land it in the landing zone?
No, it was just a mishit ball. Yeah, just a mishit ball.
Where are you at with Will right now?
Yeah, I think I have a ton of confidence in Will. He's come off that injury that he had. He got healthy, and it's just getting back into a flow and consistency. I know Will is as confident as any kicker I've ever been around in himself, and holds himself to an incredibly high standard. So when results don't happen for him as a young player, I think it shows sometimes, and that's okay, because I know the team has the confidence in him, and I have confidence in him, Matt Daniels. But I want to make sure that that doesn't waver, because if we all have the confidence we do in Will, I know he's not going to flinch, and he's going to go out there and keep doing his job at a really high level, despite the fact it was a 51-yard kick, and he had just made one and then came back and missed one, and that's going to happen. But we're going to make sure he keeps swinging and makes the next one.
Kevin, what you see from TJ Hawkinson, just in his return, the emotion side of it, but also just some of the inability to connect with Sam. What's up?
Yeah, I thought going into the game, I thought there would be some opportunities for TJ, and there were some really competitive plays. I thought the second third down of the game on the first drive that ended our first drive, I'd be willing to bet that's pretty close to the 9 out of 10 completion right there, and we've got a new set of downs in there, in their half of the 50, and with our defense getting a stop early, like those are the plays in a game like that you got to find a way to make one way or the other, and maybe that gets TJ going. And then we had a chance on a third and long there, backed up on a very similar play to we hit him on against Green Bay for a massive explosive to start the 2-minute drive against Green Bay, and we just don't connect. And that's kind of how the game was. And there's going to be, what we've got to do is figure out it's okay to hey, it wasn't our day, or that's not us, but we've got to figure out what caused those things: technique, fundamentals, scheme, presentation of plays, player understanding of intent. That's our jobs to make sure. I will never rest on it just wasn't our day, although I do think that our guys have demonstrated over the course of 17 games now that we should and will have a lot of confidence that our execution level will be better.
Kevin, do you think at all the Lions' pressure was affecting Sam mechanically? I mean, I know you talked about kind of combination.
Yeah, I think it's natural, for that to happen. And there's been other times, and I think specifically over the previous nine games where he handled pressure, in a pretty fantastic way, and made some huge plays and some clutch moments of some games, and was able to create some things off schedule and some things where game-changing plays. And just for yesterday's game, you guys have heard me say it before, each one of these 60-minute, 3.5-hour windows, whatever you want to call them, they're all different. And the smallest little things, the one play here or there could maybe change the outcome of the whole day, or at least the feel of it all the way down to the very end. And just didn't make any of those plays really when you go back and look at it, and I certainly didn't do enough to help our guys, and that's where, you know, I'm starting with today is making sure that, you know, I am much more involved in the positive aspects of the plays we do make, but also taking a deep look at the plays we didn't and figure out why.
Do you do any extra conversation or coaching with him this week when it's his first playoff game, just handling the stage, the emotions, all of that?
Yeah, I think we can start out by saying, you know, what an incredible gift we were given, even though the result wasn't what we wanted. You're coming off of a national TV, you know, game for the division. It didn't go our way, but I certainly think there's some things we can extract from that experience as tough as it is to deal with today. There's not a lot of people walking around here, you know, feeling positive about anything that took place yesterday. But part of the type of building and the type of world we've created here is I think we're all looking inward. And let's try to pull some things out of it to apply for what's going to be another, you know, clearly another home field advantage for the Rams, an atmosphere, the moment. And let's just focus on doing our jobs, doing the little things of each guy playing their position, technique, fundamentals, play style, all the things that got us to this point to allow us to have this opportunity. That's what we'll really lean in on. And I think there's going to be a lot of things, like I said, over the course of from the start of training camp till now, the lessons that we've learned, and there's a lot of them in regards to how we'll operate, the confidence level we should have, how we handle you know, some of the, and rightly so, negative energy coming out of our performance yesterday. All of that, and part of being a mature football team, if you're going to have a chance to progress in the tournament, you've got to be able to demonstrate you've got the ability to do that, and I think our team does. Thank you.
Whoops. A sloppy Joe salad. You've ever had a sloppy Joe salad? You got a taco. No, you don't eat lettuce. A taco salad would be a bed of lettuce, and then you have taco meat on and tomatoes and ice. So I have sloppy Joe left over, and I just put it on top of lettuce. So it's a sloppy Joe salad.
Lucky.
Yeah, it's really good. So I
like sloppy Joes.
I do too. I should have shared some with you, but I didn't really have enough. By the way, because once we get on the air, I'm really stingy with my provisions. I know this doesn't matter, but I'm not going to let it die. The Rams have 2 weeks off.
Then the Vikings have 1 week off.
Right.
Yeah.
They have a week between games.
Yeah, we have 1 week off.
Right. But when you rest your, how many weeks do the Lions starters have off now?
Well, they have 1 game off. They have 1 week off.
Right. But
almost 2 weeks between games, yeah. Or 2 weeks, depending on when they game. Yeah.
So 2 weeks between games.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I mean. Maybe I'm just not phrasing it right. That's 2 weeks between games. All the other teams have 1 week between games. That's an extra week off. Same thing if you rest all your starters, it's the same as a bye week. If the last game your starters played was week 17, then they had week 17 to week 18 off. Then they didn't play week 18 off, and then they have another week before they go. So between actual games played, that's 14 days. It just is. You can't argue it. Someone tried to say, well, they were practicing. Practice? We're talking practice? Wasn't that was that Allen Iverson of the famous practice?
Practice? We're talking about practice?
We're talking about practice? They don't slam into each other in practice at this time of the year like they do when they're playing in the field. Do you think that the NFL teams right now are out practicing and they're hitting each other like game situations? No, they're doing walkthroughs and they're bumping into each other gently. They're putting game plans together. It's not the same. I guess people just don't understand the esoteric approach. It didn't seem that simple. It's just simple math, and I'm really good at math. I was born in Detroit. 0-1, 0-2. We're counting about days between games. That's what we're just talking about. That's what this is. It's days between games. Matt Stafford will not have played a game when he takes the field Monday in 14 days. It's 2 weeks off. Just is. You can't argue with it. I don't know why people want to argue with me. You don't agree with it, right?
It's the semantics of it. I get it. I get what you're trying to say, which is why I didn't.
But it's correct.
I didn't combat you the first time.
But it's 14 days.
Yeah, but it's just the way it's worded, right? Like, because nobody says, like, the Vikings played Sunday and they'll play next week. No one says, well, the Vikings had a week off before their game, right?
But they do.
So the Rams starters had one game in which they did not play.
Mm-hmm. And how many days will it be between games?
14.
Thank you.
Actually, 15.
15. That's all I'm trying to make. And those are rested. Ask the players if it's semantics or if that makes a difference.
I will say, when the Vikings had to play the Rams earlier in the season, that was a short week. That was a Thursday night game. Now we get the extra day with the Monday. So we're going to have the 8 days to prepare. It's like we have a week off.
I'm just telling you, it is. It's exactly the same thing. It's really not to ask the players if they look at it that way. They'll go, absolutely, man. I got Matt Stafford said I had 14 days off between games. It wasn't like I had to go beat myself up yesterday. Plus the injury risk. I mean, look at the Packers yesterday. By the way, did you watch any of it? It was delicious.
No, I did not.
I sent out a couple. I found a new Cesar Romero picture too. That's even better than the one I've been using. Bears beat them at Lambeau. Packers now have the 7 seed. They could have got to the 6. They're 7. They've got to face Philadelphia. But they had 2 players. Jordan Love, is he okay? He didn't come back into the game. Ask him if he'd liked to have not played yesterday. I think that would have helped that Packers team if he didn't play.
I bet he would have liked 2 weeks off.
I bet he would like to have had 2 weeks off, and he would have called it 2 weeks off. He said, I had 2 weeks between games. I had 2 weeks, 14 full days where I did not have to have somebody sack me or have to scramble out of the pocket and get hammered. That didn't happen to me.
Says he had an elbow injury. Was it his throwing arm?
Yeah, it was his throwing arm.
Was it? Oh, boy.
And he was shaking it like this. He was doing that, and who knows if it's just a stinger. And then there was another key player, and I can't for the life of me remember who it is. Somebody else went off the field. Don't know if it was a defense or
well, I know Christian.
That's it.
Christian Street Clothes Watson.
Yeah, Street Clothes Watson left the game with a knee. Is he? Any update on Street Clothes? And they miss Jair Alexander. Now, my Packer insiders tell me, you know what they're saying? Yeah, he got the big contract, and then all of a sudden he's not available to play. But did I see that he did undergo?
Watson's was a non-contact knee injury, and he was carted off the field and ruled out. So that's usually not a good sign.
That's correct. So, do you think they should have gone the Sean McVay way? Or are they scared to play Philadelphia? Got to beat them all. That's what Sean McVay says. He said, we got to beat them all. So why would I want to take players who have already taken a beating all season long, give them that extra 7 days? That, if you want to phrase it that way, give them 14 days without a game rather than just 7 days without playing a game. I think I would think that would, now, that's not to say that any of those Rams players could get hurt right away in the next, in the game against the Vikings. But I mean, just getting a chance to heal up. You think the Lions won't like that? Now, the thing with them is most of their guys aren't coming back. It's not like, well, hey, extra week on the bye week and we have a bunch of players back. Nobody's coming back.
What about Demo?
Well, Demo might come back. Here's what I don't understand. Or
should I call him Knuckles?
You can call him Knuckles.
Yeah.
Here's what I don't understand. I read a story when he first was injured, like 2 or 3 days after, said he was going to go seek a third opinion, which leads me to believe the first 2 opinions said, you need surgery.
Yes.
And he didn't want to hear that. That wasn't the answer he wanted to hear because he's laying on the line.
He wants to win a ship.
Guys in the champion room. Guys are laying on the line. So this doesn't work. So he wants to win a ship, right? So he continues to go to a doctor and he found one that said, oh, you can rest that up. You'll be okay. And he's accepted that. Now, I don't know. But yeah, whether he plays or not, and I would certainly think not having to play this Sunday, had they lost yesterday, Would he have been ready to play as the 5 seed against the Rams this weekend? I don't know, but given that not having to play, nothing to do, another week of recuperation.
2 weeks off.
2 weeks off.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll have the opportunity to play. Is there anything on Terry and Arnold? Can you Google him real quick? Because remember, he got carted off too. He couldn't put any pressure late in the game. And if you saw the replay, it looked like one of those awkward, he got his leg pinched, or he got it collapsed between one of his own players. They were trying to tackle one of the Viking players after first down. I don't remember who it was they were tackling, but it may have been Akers.
He left with a foot injury.
Right.
Told the reporters after the game, "I'm playing," when talking about 2 weeks in the playoff opener.
I'm playing. Let's play. So I guess he'll be in. But yeah,
X-rays were negative. So,
yeah. And again,
but he wasn't a walking boot.
Yeah. And again, the Vikings have been remarkably healthy. Darisaw, as far as I know, was he the only starter from the beginning of the season that did not suit up yesterday? Or is there another that I'm missing? That's remarkable. And even if it's maybe it's one other one, I don't know. That's remarkable to have that many players.
Yeah.
If and I don't think that's training staff, do you? Not to take any credit away from training staffs. You have all sorts of different. You have trainers, you have certified trainers, and then you have certified athletic trainers. So there are different ones. And
Can we get the Vikings trainers to work with the Twins?
Well, maybe
during the off season.
That couldn't hurt. But I think some of it's probably just luck, right? I think in most cases it's kind of luck. I think most of it's luck if you don't get hurt. So to stay as healthy as you possibly can and to be as healthy as the Vikings have. I mean, I know Pace missed a few games. We probably
that was Cash Money's first loss yesterday.
Cash Money's first loss. Cash Money missed some games, but for the most part, the Vikings have been remarkably healthy. Let's take a break. We'll come back. No Mark Rosen today. He'll rejoin us tomorrow. Ben Johnson show tomorrow, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
It's going to be at 12 noon. And we'll be in at 1, and Mark Rosen will join us at 2 o'clock, and we'll get his thoughts, I think, on the Vikings' loss to the Lions in the upcoming game against the Rams. We'll take a break, come back after this.